or normally the CEO or the general manager of the company, right? And when you sign the contract and he signed the contract, and when both of you have a agreement, a commitment to complete the contract, to work according to what the terms and the articles in the contract have mentioned. So what actually the contract is that is so important that when you learn about labor relations, this is one of the basic knowledge that you have to understand. I know that a lot of companies would ignore the contract. They just download the simple contract on the internet, and then they print it out, and they put the name of the employee there, and they check, probably for spelling mistake, and then they let the employee and the employer sign. Now, the contract is a very important legal document that will regulate and govern the labor relations. It actually makes sure that the employees agree with the terms and the condition of the working environment that the company is offering. Now, what happens when you really don't pay attention to the contract and you put it at, you download it from the internet, assembled, and you don't really care about the terms and the condition? What happens when you do like that? The employees may easily quit, because when they work in long time enough, they may recognize that this is not what they want. And you also may not be happy with what they perform to you, because you don't offer them the right conditions, the right interest that they're supposed to have. Is that right? And I think employees nowadays are very smart. I think for yourself, when you sign a contract, what do you normally do? Would you be, oh, I'm so happy I have a job now, I have to sign it right away? I don't think so. I think you have to spend some time doing what, Read it. And then you have to check. Yes, you have to ask your friends around you, see whether they, offer the same way that you're offer. And you have to check with people who are doing the same job like you're offering, to see if you receive something that you deserve. Is that right? So employees today are very smart. And the labor contract is the first thing that you build relations with your employee. Is that right? So you haven't got it on your lecture note, but I think I just want to emphasize some more words here. It is the practice of a labor relation within a unionized employer. So I know that a lot of you here are not recognizing whether your organization have a union or not. According to the Vietnamese law, every company needs to have a union. But believe me, a lot of private companies, they don't care about union. Right? So that is the reason why they don't care about labor contract. I know a lot of private company who just recruit employees and pay employees very high. And employees, when they receive high salary, they're not aware that they really need a contract. So they say, I don't care about contract. Whatever the contract says, as long as they pay me high enough. But when they quit their job and they don't receive anything, insurance or security, they don't have social security, then they start to ask their employee, why don't I receive all the conditions, all the security, social security, insurance, and all of the compensation that I'm supposed to have when I quit my job? The employer say, because you don't have a contract. You understand what I mean? So go back to the definition of contract here. Normally, if you have a union, they have to fight for you and make sure that you have a contract to state your rights, okay? Your rights and your obligations. Now, rights also an example of interest that we haven't talked about, but I really want to mention it a few minutes ago. When you work for a company, you must have your rights. You must be able to speak up what you want for yourself and for your company, for your job. So rights are very important. So a lot of employees ignore what rights do they have. But me, for myself, when I read my contract, I have to make sure that all the rights I want will be secure in the future when I work for the company. And together with the rights, there will be obligations, right? So you have your right, you have your basic salary, you have your desired working environment, you have your benefits that you want. What do you have to do? That is the obligations. But normally the rights and obligation are not coming from the employee only, it's also coming from the employer. The employer have to promise you what obligation they will have to commit to you, but at the same time, what right do they have? What power do they have to work with you, to control you the way they want? Is that right? So rights and obligations are stated in the contract, and of course, you understand that contracts are only valid in a period of time, even though the contract sometimes is stated permanently. Permanent contract doesn't mean that the employees will have to work for the employer forever or permanently. You can quit or you can terminate contract due to some conditions. Okay, we'll learn about that in the future. Now, so the book also says that the contracts can be renegotiated periodically. It means that after the contract finished, for example, 1 year or 2 years, or when you think that you have been doing very well enough and you want to have an increase in your pay, in your salary, it's also it's the time that you want to renegotiate your contract, right? You want to have a new contract, or in human resources we call it renew the contract. Right? Renew is a term we use in human resources management, meaning that you have to change all the terms and the conditions and the rights and the obligations that are stated in the contract, make it into a higher level, for example. Change it. Okay. I have a few more slides. I think you can read it at home. It's not very difficult to understand. I will just emphasize on some keywords here. To finish talking about the definition of labor relations, there's one more word that I would like you to understand. Labor relations can vary depending on what each establishment produces. Can anyone come up with a definition or how you understand the word establishment? Establishment, or specified it, make it more easier to understand by giving examples of or the what form an establishment of a company. Here we're saying that labor relation depending on each company establishment. So basically what it depends on is are we talking about something internal or external? Very good, internal. Inside the organizations, right? So what does it mean by establishment? You give me more example? Labor relation depend on establishment. What each establishment produces. What is inside a company that regulates labor relations or influence labor relations? Think. Okay, let's think about the management. What do you imagine, what do you understand about people who are called management? So, CEO, right? CEO style, CEO management philosophy, CEO strategy, CEO's leadership style, the way how the CEO wants the company to develop. These are examples of establishment. Other examples of establishment would include policies, you say, procedures, also including regulations that the company establish, right? The corporate culture, okay? Corporate culture. So these are things that really have a very big impact on labor relations. Let's say you have two CEO of two company. One CEO think that people are their asset, okay? And one CEO think people are not their asset. Money is their asset. Okay? So do you think that these two companies will have two different kind of labor relations? Yeah. The CEO with the thinking that people is their asset may probably not need a union. You understand what I mean here? If he thinks that people are his asset, then he would care about people. He take care of his people. He wants to build his people to a higher level. He wants to give what his people want. So in that organization, I don't think union is needed. There's still labor relations though, but it's not between the union and the employer. Everybody understand? But for a CEO who only care about financial performance, he doesn't care about his people. Do you think you need a union there? Yes. So everybody understand establishment here? Establishment is everything related to how a board of management manage their company. So it includes the system, organizational structure, management philosophy, corporate culture, okay, procedure, policy. These are at lower level. The highest level you need to understand is what the CEO wants, how the CEO wants to run his or her company. Okay, so that is establishment. Any questions so far, everyone? Do you need me to speak Vietnamese sometime, or we just keep going on like this? Do you think you need me to speak Vietnamese sometime? Yeah? Sometimes you want to hear my voice speaking our mother tongue, right? So I'll say something about this slide here in Vietnamese. Is that okay? Good. So just tell me whenever you think I'm too fast or you want me to speak Vietnamese. Okay. Các bạn, cái phần này cô nghĩ các bạn hiểu cái từ establishment. Đây là một từ cũng rất quan trọng mà thật ra nó là cái kiến thức tổng hợp các bạn học từ rất nhiều môn học khác. Những gì mà nó ảnh hưởng tới quan hệ lao động, cơ chế ở trong cùng một công ty, nó là gì? Đó là cái triết lý kinh doanh và cái chiến lược của một công ty, và cái cách mà một tổng giám đốc họ điều hành công ty của họ. Nếu như ông tổng giám đốc này ông quan niệm hồi nãy cô